Hi everybody, this is Saul Sunforge for Dungeons and Taverns. Hopefully you're all going to have a Merry Christmas. I'm off today, and so I figured I'd capitalize and try to put out 2 videos for you today. This is going to be my first one, and it's going to be quite a long one, I think, and it's going to be full of good information for you guys. So I'm not going to be able to record it all in one take. I'm gonna, or like at one time. I'm gonna have to chop it up into sections, edit all those sections together, and so you'll be able to tell where I edit and things like that, where the conversation doesn't sound like a track sometimes. But YouTube is a place with a lot of cool videos, a lot of interesting topics. And it can be kind of daunting at how big it is. I've been using YouTube, pretty much since it first became a thing. Maybe within a month of hearing about it or so, and it's grown quite extensively since then. And so when you're looking up when you're looking for a topic or for information, you don't exactly always know where to look. I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but even though how much I love D&D, it never occurred to me to actually use YouTube to look up for D&D videos until like maybe 4 years ago. Before that, it never even occurred to me, because it just, from when I was in the Navy, it was just, a few people. I didn't know that D&D had grown so profound in that amount of time, and like before it was like, you kind of had to, if D&D was your hobby, you kind of had to keep it a secret because people always looked at you like you're a weirdo. And now everybody does it, even stars and things like that. But the point is that there's tons of D&D creators here on YouTube, and I don't, or at least I don't think I do, view all these other fine people as competition. I feel like we're all in it together to strengthen the product and to all hopefully get more people interested in the hobby. So there's more DMs out there, so us forever DMs can play. No, I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of us out there, and I don't view them as my competition. And since Christmas is the season of giving, I thought the best thing I could give for you all are the D&D channels that I follow, what type of content they provide, and if you already watch a lot of channels, there's a chance, there's a decent chance, since there's so many channels out there, I haven't even hit them all. If there's ones that I don't mention, you feel free to leave it in the comments and I'll check them out. I'm always interested in finding new channels. Especially if they do like the skit type, like Deerstalker. Their stuff is amazing. If there's more stuff like that, please drop it in the comments. Please. But I'm going to go ahead and list out different categories. Excuse me. I'm going to list different creators by category. And some of these creators could fit into more than one category, but I'm just giving you a generalized overview of them. And it's up to you to determine if you want to check them out or not. I would advise it. Anybody that I name off here is going to be well worth your listening time. But so the categories, they're going to be homebrew people. So people who make homebrew worlds or rules and items and spells. So that'll be the homebrew category. And then there'll be a story category for channels that they don't go over rules or anything like that, but they go over stories that people submit to them about their time gaming and, times that they had bad DMs or bad players and some of the habits that they do to make them those types of people. And then that's something you might be interested in listening to. They're always rather comical usually. but they almost always have a lesson in there somewhere about maybe the ways that you kind of want to steer clear of behaving if you want to be perceived as a better DM or a better player. Then there'll be skits. Those are people who or groups of people who do skits as their, not for the whole video, but for the introductory period of the video or a few segments throughout the video. And then lore, people who cover lore specifically in the D&D, not any homebrew at all, but in the actual setting, about dragons, beholders, the Feywild, the endless abyss. If you want to learn about those things, lore channels are where it's at, and I'm going to give you some of the best ones that I've found that are just phenomenal to sit back and just relax and just listen to it, and it's just quality content throughout. The mechanics are channels that go over rules as written or rules as interpreted, and they give you interesting variations on those rules or go more in depth into those rules. Like did you know you can take your intimidation charisma and make it an intimidation strength? So this way you're still intimidating, but you're intimidating in a different way. Charisma is force of personality. Strength is raw, brute presence. You're imposing your will. And so, like, those mechanics channels cover things like that. Travel time, rest mechanics, things like that. And then I have a further viewing category, which are channels that aren't specifically to do with D&D or tabletop, but they will make your experience with D&D and tabletop games, whether you're a player or a DM, much broader. Like they cover historical topics like the pyramids and rivers and weaponry, food that they ate in the medieval ages, hospitality, things like that. Those are all covered in my further viewing videos, which aren't required. None of these are required. You pick and choose as you want. But, I enjoy a broad variety of D&D content, and hopefully you can find yourself some new channels to watch here as well. So with that said, let's get into our first segment, which is stories. Okay. So I made a list here, and I'm going to do this out of all the people that I follow. I'm going to make a list and just run down them and give you a little bit about each one, or the category in general, but these are the best from those categories. And I'm going to stop the video and then reload the next segment's list and then start it. And that's how I'm going to get this video out to you guys today. All right. So this is one of the new guys that I follow, Crispy's Tavern. And most all of these, you'll see that there's a common theme. Something has gone terribly wrong. People don't usually write to these, these posts and submit them to these authors' Reddit accounts, and they don't usually do that if it goes well. So usually a player will act out of turn. They'll be perverted. They'll be a creeper. So there's some sort of lesson usually in every single one of these. Crispy's Tavern and Crowe's Perch are some of the newest ones that I've found. I listen to these a lot when I'm at work because it doesn't I don't have to sit there and watch it. I could just listen to it while I'm working, and pardon the pun, it works out wonderful. Neckbeardia Reborn is probably one of the older channels that I've, and Den of the Drake also. Two of the older channels that I listen to, and Neckbeardia, I believe Megan and James are Irish. I think maybe. But they're really nice people. They're a couple. Their website, and I'll post websites links to all their channels, and you'll be able to find out more about them in their own channels. But Megan and James have their own store where they make minis, and they're consistent. That's one of the things that I look for when I really get into a channel, is how consistent it is. There's nothing more that I can't stand than watching a channel, loving its content, and then not getting a video for maybe a month or 2 months, maybe even 6 months, and you never really know when the next one's coming out or if another one is even coming out. Well, Megan and James release videos probably have a faster turnaround than most of these story ones. Although every single one has quite a few stories, and some of them actually have a collection of stories related to one overarching person, which those are great. The series, those are great listening. When you're working a 9-hour shift and you can listen to stuff for about 8 hours of it in your earpiece because you're doing your thing. D&D Doge is another one that it's kind of a newer one I listen to. It's this guy, he has an animated doggy.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a tale of a longtime DM that
So he presents his material, and I don't want to play too much for copyright reasons, even though I'm promoting them. I don't want it to be like I'm trying to take anything from them. I just want to show you that his is presented through an animated dog, and that's pretty clever. And he has pretty good stories, and every single one of these people has a pretty soothing voice, that narrator voice that you look for when you're looking for somebody to read you something, to put you in the mood for more story time. Basically, it's good stuff. Good stuff. CritCrab is one of the original ones that I listened to. Also, all things D&D. I'm not sure where he's from. He's not from the U.S., but his voice is very clear. You can understand him. His stories are real good, and he has animations too. And so he presents himself as this DM character here when he's speaking, and it's good. It's all good stuff, man. All these channels. If you subscribe to all these channels, there's not going to be too many times in the week where you won't have something really cool to listen to. Really good stories. And some of them are like it's hard to explain until you listen to it. But there's different types of subcategories of people of D&D quote D&D cringe, and like people who ruin games versus people who take in-game stuff out of game. There's like a whole bunch of different things, but they're all covered here. The next category I wanted to cover is homebrew. I work in homebrew mostly. I don't really DM published adventures. I'll play published adventures as a player if I get to play sometimes. But you'll find that almost every campaign that I run is a creation of my own. I use some things from base D&D, like the deities, and obviously the rules. But some of these channels are, they cover multiple genres that I'm covering. They might cover stories and lore, or lore mechanics and homebrew. So pretty well, really everybody on this list, encompasses. They're not just one thing or another. They usually encompass two spokes on the same wheel. So. Here we have How to Be a Great GM. He is a published author guy, and He has a lot of good information on backstories, character creation. He even runs a series where other DMs take turns DMing, and he has a countdown timer, and they DM for an hour or 2 hours or what have you, and then the players who are also waiting to take their turn for their hour or 2 hours rate the DM on several factors, and I think that's pretty unique. And it actually sounds like a lot of fun. So that's him. And then we have Mark and Gonzo, Dungeon Class. And they just go over their channel, they kind of go over some of the rules. And the video that got me hooked on these guys is they went to the dollar store and purchased a few items, and they were tasked with each other. I think they bought each other's items, and they were tasking each other how to make a campaign premise off of those items, and I thought that was very creative. Usually videos that have that show me different perspectives on things that I may have already seen, or things that interest me. I'm always interested in other people's perspectives on everything. And I also like the two person format. If I had another person that was consistent, I'd have a 2-person format. I much prefer that. You'll tend to get different opinions from each person in the group, and it promotes extra discussions. So that's cool. Let's see let's take a peep at some of the videos that they posted recently here. Fun with Nothix. Those are fun little creatures. They they looks like not boring harpies. So it looks like their last few videos they were talking about different types of monsters and maybe battle tactics. Here's a discussion roundtable. Looks like they got Wally DM. They got Fred Wheeler. Not sure who the guy up in the top right corner there is though. And then everybody's talking about 5.5 or 6th edition D&D. So, they post videos that aren't your normal typical D&D videos. But you see a lot of good stuff here. Trapping a Lich, epic campaigns. So there's stuff here for players and DMs.
Hey everyone, I'm Mark. This is Gonzo.
Okay, let's see. So, what do we have next? The Dungeon Dudes.
A professor.
It's Monty Martin and Kelly McLaughlin. And that's another 2-person team you see. And they work great together. They actually they have a campaign too. Just like I got one, and quite a few other channels have one. And pretty good stuff. They talk about some of their favorite spells, their favorite subclasses, and favorite magic items. Pretty good information for sure. A little bit on the drier side, but they still throw in some comedy. And when you're presenting the information, it's good to have a combination of comedy and just relaying the information. I find you don't want to be too boring, but you don't want to be just yucking it up. You want to get your message across. And then we have
where does it come from?
Web DM here,
perfect understanding,
and they are pretty good. Jim Davis and Pruitt, and their editor is amazing. You wouldn't be able to tell, but they are not at the same location. They film from 2 different locations, and their editor makes it look like they're in the same place, and it's amazing. It does a great job, and they are some of the funnier D&D content that you could want to consume. They cover quite an extensive list of conversations. They do like to cover skill checks, ways to use your skill checks, and I can't recommend them enough. When their videos come out, I usually watch them within that day, even though I'm busy, creating my own stuff now, so I don't get time to watch as many channels as I used to. So some of the channels I fall a little bit behind on, but there's ones that I just don't. Even now, I still just don't. I don't fall behind. I watch the video when it first comes out. Professor Dungeon Master is another one. So yeah, when they do reviews of books too. Strixhaven just came out, and so that's like the popular review. But look, their top favorite Fey monsters, Fey supplements, Planar adventures. The most versatile cantrips in 5e. So, and then there's DM tips, how to prevent murder hobos, make factions. And then they have their own Kickstarter going, and I'm gonna keep reiterating that, and I guess it's gonna get cliche, but they're quality. They're quality gentlemen. Next up, we have K.R. King.
6 months.
He's a teacher, and he has a whole bunch of great ideas for homebrew. As I understand from a brief conversation with him, unfortunately he hasn't had his group to play. I'm thinking about maybe asking him in, to be a player in one of my campaigns. Later on, because since the campaign I'm running right now, is coming to a close shortly, and maybe for the next campaign or something, or maybe even just a one shot. But yeah, he's a cool guy. His information, he provides it. It's a little bit more of a drier information, but it's presented in a way that a teacher would be teaching you a subject at school. And so it is rather easy to retain the information that he's providing. He's one of the smaller channels I watch, which is completely fine, because no channel that I watch is as small as my channel. But, I haven't started promoting yet. We're going to be promoting here. The 1st of January will be the first day we actually start promoting the channel in any capacity, and then we'll ramp it up from there. But yeah, so you can see he makes maps. I think he uses Wonder Draft. And have I used Wonder Draft? I don't think I have. I use a variety of map making softwares. But so you can see he has ideas on how to build a better deck of many things. The campaign that I'm running right now, I actually watched his Flump video, and I added that into my campaign, Flumps, when the group was underneath the sewers in the upper portions of the Underdark, and they encountered Flumps. That is 100% because of Kevin here, and he does some co-run videos. He does collaborations with a lot of people, and actually he's the way I found out about who Fred Wheeler even is. And Fred Wheeler has some good content too. I'm pretty confident we'll be getting to those people, as I was making these lists. And really, I'm just kind of putting some of the people I follow, my subscriptions, into a video, and then just into a playlist, and then just scrolling down them, because I'm going to include all their links and everything like that. to their channels. This is just to give you a short description on each one. And really, if I went, I could go into each one and talk about the video I like the most, but I'm not trying to make this be a 5-hour long video. I'm trying to get this information to you as quickly as I can. I don't like to waste time. So there's some good homebrew. There are others that I did not include on this list, and that's just because I couldn't find them in my followers list. My subscriptions, I just couldn't find them. And I do have, my other channel that I used to have that I did vlogging, before I started doing D&D. And so I follow some people over there too. Here we go, the Dungeon Coach. That's who I was looking for. So in terms of homebrew, this guy, he's one of my favorite. He's super energetic. He's the personification of homebrew. He'll take every aspect of D&D and come up with a homebrew for it, and seemingly sometimes he'll do it within the video while he's talking. And he has a lot of great ideas. Most of his stuff is tailored for DMs, and really a lot of these people, are tailored for DMs. The lore stuff, that's universal. But sometimes some of the mechanics channels, those are for players too, obviously. But really, what you'll find in the D&D community, I think, is that more videos are tailored towards DMs or campaigns versus helping players. And so that's how I'm, going to make my channel a little bit different than a lot of other people's channels, is because I don't want to just help DMs. I want to help players too. And really, I probably want to help players more than DMs, ironically. And that's just because I've been a DM for so long that I know how to help players, I suppose. We'll get through all of that stuff. We'll cover quite a bit of things as we roll along. We're still in the infancy stages of our channel. We haven't even promoted it yet. So, we're nothing yet. But hopefully someday we will be. But yeah, Dungeon Coach, it's a great channel. And I started following him, I'd say maybe a year ago. But he has some good stuff. All right, so yeah, that's it for the homebrew portion. And I'm going to stop this, and then I'll record a different portion, and then we'll mix it all together and see what we have. All right, see you soon. Next up, we have Viva La Dirt League. These guys, I started watching them about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And they don't do just D&D stuff, but they have a D&D campaign, as well as they do little skits where they dress up. They have a little made up town called Honeywood, and they're all pretty funny skits. They have a fisher guy who's in every skit, a fisher and shopkeeper, and NPCs crying for help, and there's the muggers. What do? We mug them. It's pretty funny. You gotta check it out. They make some great hilarious stuff. It's not just D&D either. They do PUBG and video game culture and things like that. It's pretty good stuff. This is probably the first D&D channel I came across, actually. It's called Deerstalker Pictures, and they make full-fledged, just like Viva La Dirt League does, skits. They mix D&D with their and then they're playing D&D, and then they cuts to their characters, and they're dressed up as their characters in the world, and it's pretty funny stuff. high quality production, and you won't regret it. And like I said, I'll put links to every channel that I talk about, and even some that I haven't, just because of time's sake. This is Zee Bashew. He animates all his videos. They're all like cartoon style, and they cover spells and different funny situations. And I just followed his channel a few months ago, but he has some good stuff. His animations are solid. And he covers other things in D&D, but he presents it in a funny way. And the animation makes it very entertaining to watch. I feel like it's important when you're educating to throw in some comedy or something that's entertaining to engage with your audience a little bit, so there's Z. Who else? What else do we have for you? Some good stuff. In terms of lore, we have AJ Pickett and Jorphdan. The PH is silent. And they cover like the domains, the different planes, different origins of monsters, and anything lore that you really need about D&D. These two guys will cover it, AJ Pickett and Jorphdan. Good stuff.
Listen,
this is Jordan's latest video. It's the origins of Asmodeus. Asmodeus is the overarching devil of the Nine Hells. And so they get their source material from all the editions of D&D that they've played, all the compendiums of knowledge, and they put it in one digestible video for you. And their narration is it's top notch. It's wonderful. And I didn't know where to put this next person. It's definitely, one of my top, I'd say one of my top 5, probably one of my top 3. This guy, he's an accomplished author. He doesn't do just D&D, and in fact, I'd say he does more often than not. He does, other things like Call of Cthulhu. I can't believe I lost that for a while. And he does a lot of cyberpunk things, and but he has a lot of good rules for players. It's system agnostic. He's entertaining. He does little skits at the beginning of his video and throughout his videos. Some of his retelling of some of his campaigns are just like deeply engrossing to listen to. And so he's probably, if anybody asks me to recommend them 3 channels, he's probably in that 3 almost every time. And then we have Sly Flourish. He is the author of The Lazy Dungeon Master and Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. Let's see here if I can find those. Well, I just got one. The other ones, I think the other one's in the bathroom. I actually do a lot of reading when I'm in the bathroom. But yeah, so this is his book, Lazy Dungeon Master, and it's all about tips on how to prepare more of what you need, and to learn how to throw out what you don't need in order to make your preparation time more effective, more efficient, and more enjoyable. I'd say it's more of the informative variety video. He does have entertaining things, but he's full of knowledge, and that's very important. And his book is phenomenal. I've read through it a few times, and it actually has its own list of sources, and it talks about how to combine different characters that you already know from shows that you already watch, and just combine them with other characters and come up with that's how you come up with new NPCs and things. because you've already put the time into watching these shows, so why not make it work for you? And I completely agree with that philosophy. I've used that for years, and I wholeheartedly recommend that. And then next we have Dael Kingsmill. She's a lass from Australia, and she is deeply entertaining. Every one of her videos is rather funny, but she presents it from a unique perspective. I'm of the belief, and scientifically proven, that males and females think differently. So whenever you can get a different take from what you're used to, it's always good. But her stuff is quality content. She talks about her own campaigns. She does a little bit of homebrew things. She makes monsters, and but she always presents it in very, very entertaining ways. Oh look, she has a WebDM up there. There's Jim Davis and Pruitt. So a lot of these content creators, when you start watching more of them, you'll realize you'll realize that a lot of them work together in collaborations. Risky Whisking, she's cooking there. Yeah, she's funny, and she presents everything in an entertaining slant. So it's good quality content. My only critique, I guess, of her is that her videos don't come out that often as I would like. But they take a little bit more. They're more scripted and more involved than my stuff. That's how I find that I'm able to put out more videos for you guys, is not to script them as much. Let's see, who else do we have to cover here? We gave you guys lore. Mechanics. So this is Luke Hart, and
I do that button. Wait.
And there's Luke Hart, and he's been a DM since high school. He's around my age. So he's done it for probably a few more years than I have, I believe. But he answers questions from his users, and he also streams on Twitch. He has a lot of funny skits, where he plays 4 or 5 characters and then himself as the DM. He talks about top spells that are useful, and he goes over some stories from his own campaigns. Currently, he's running Curse of Strahd. And I know that I believe that he does one-shots and things with his Patreons, and he makes content and things that for them to purchase if they wish to. And I think he has a store also. A lot of these people do have stores, and eventually I will too, with things that after I look around to make sure they're unique to what I want to do. Then we'll probably launch those types of things. But Luke's good for binge watching. I've been binge watched his episodes many times. In fact, when I first started watching them, I think I watched 30 or 40 episodes in a row. Next one's Wally DM, and Wally is the de facto person you want to go to when it comes to puzzles. He constantly is coming up with new puzzles. I think some of them our viewers submitted to him, but he comes up with his own puzzles, and he has his own book actually of different puzzle encounters. And I've implemented a few of them already into the session. You'll see those probably coming up because we're not caught up in editing in terms of where we are live. Where we are live. We'll be there. We'll be there in a few months, I'd say. I'm going to try to upload, 4 episodes a month. I'm going to try to push 6. If I push 6, then we'll be able to be there in 4 months or so. But we have a lot of, we have a lot of stuff, a lot of editing. and we're going to be making these videos in between too, to help you out. And again, all these links are going to be posted in the description for the video, the show more section. And then what else do we have? This gentleman is he's D&D adjacent. His content isn't specifically D&D, but he talks about medieval weaponry and inns and castles to make them more realistic to the day. And what food, like right now, this video, what would a medieval adventurer eat? So these are all topics that are around D&D. They may not be D&D specific. He also has a campaign that he runs. You can find that information off of Shadowversity. And his videos are phenomenal. He dresses up. He has a gambeson and a petticoat and the belt, and he has bow and arrows and weaponry, and he has a lot of stuff. He even has a freaking he has the front of a castle even built out for his videos, and he always does his videos dressed, and they're just wonderful. It's good stuff that he teaches. Let's see, and then what else? These ones are further away from D&D. These ones have nothing to do with D&D, but they're good for inspiration in terms of coming up with settings, how pyramids function, and different objects. Metal, how to forge metal. How that whole process worked, the whole shipbuilding process. All those types of things are D&D adjacent. They're not specifically in the rule book, but they're things that you can learn to heighten the quality of your content that you produce. So we have History Matters.
France and England,
they talk about different wars and how the butterfly effect if things would have played out differently, if the other side would have won, for instance, what would the result be of that? And then Mystery History. Shorter videos, but they talk about underwater carvings, the pyramids, everything that you could possibly be interested in. Roman Empire, the Franco-Prussian War, just so much content that really, if you're a relatively creative person, you can take some of these ideas that they have, some of these places that they're visiting, and you can even learn more about them if you wish to. Through Google's your friend, or but it's enough to give you a very sharp edge on the content creation if you're building your own campaign out for extra locations, extraordinary locations. So that's good. I think that's good enough for this video. I wanted to try to keep it under an hour. Hopefully it is. I rushed a little bit. I didn't bring up every channel and bring up all their videos. I didn't do all that stuff because I was trying to keep the video short. I think it'll be a little bit short, so that's good. Hopefully you enjoy it. Like I said, I'll link their channels in the About Me description section underneath, and enjoy. Have a Merry Christmas, and thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. I'm Saul Sunforge, and this is Dungeons and Taverns. See you soon.